So I have a question for you. How can a piano help you become a much better in-play trader and much better than the vast majority of traders out there? If you're interested in learning to trade on Betfair, then visit the BetAngel Academy, where you have detailed, structured Betfair trading courses. Or why not visit our website where you can download a free trial of BetAngel Professional, but also visit the forum where you can get detailed images, examples, and downloadable files. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon if you want notification of new videos as they're released. So how is a piano related to in-play trading? There is a link here, albeit slightly tenuous, but particularly relevant if you want to perform at the top level, which we'll come to towards the end of this video. But all of this video is derived from a comment that arrived in my inbox the other week. Somebody saw something, forwarded it to me, and it basically said, don't use BetAngel because it's useless for in-play trading. So I looked at this comment, bullshit, excuse me, sorry. And I thought, well, that's wrong. We need to address the key facts here, and I can give you loads of good examples as to how you can perform at an unbelievable level if you use all of the tools that are available to you within BetAngel. So, where do we start? Well, we have to start with the most obvious one. BetAngel actually has a tool within it called InPlay Trader, and this is designed specifically for trading and horse racing markets. If you look at tennis, we've got Tennis Trader. On football, we've got Soccer Mystic. And for racing, we've got InPlay Trader. And this is a bit different from the other tools that I've mentioned, but the concept behind it is basically if you're doing something in play, it gives you a graphical and visual representation of exactly what's happening within that market. And if you want to actively trade, all that you do is click. Basically, you can actually press a button on top of the horse, in front, behind it, and you will actually initiate your trade from there. You don't have to search on the one-click screen. You can just look at the silks or the saddle cloth and click. It's a graphical trading interface. It's not like a one-click screen or a ladder. You basically look at the horse you're interested in and you click on it. You can even define with your mouse buttons, basically, if you left click, will you place a back bet? If you right click, then it'll place a lay bet and stuff like that. It's very clever, and you can represent the odds in typical odds format, or you can do it in a win percentage format. The advantage with doing it in a win percentage format is you will actually see graphically across the screen as the horse's odds improves, it runs towards the winning post. It's a great little bit of kit. Check it out. Now, there are cool things as well that will help you with BetAngel. So for example, every time Betfair tweak the API, we tweak BetAngel. We're trying to look and understand what we can do to get the best possible performance out of it and take advantage of all the key features. So there are lots of little tricks that we use, but probably the thing that you most need to know is that BetAngel supports streaming. So what is streaming? Well, basically in the old days, in fact, we could summarize it a little bit better. In the very old days, Betfair used to restrict the number of calls that you could make to the API. So it prohibited a lot of things. Automation was difficult. Multiple markets were difficult. And it became a bit of a mess. Eventually they dropped those, and that's why automation exploded on BetAngel, because suddenly we could do simultaneous bets and monitoring across thousands of markets, and it didn't really matter because there were no problems with Betfair. But also recently Betfair introduced streaming, which means that basically BetAngel can operate 10 times faster than it used to. When you first log on to BetAngel, you may find that you're not running it in an optimized form, but if you switch on streaming, you can actually stream at 20 milliseconds. Software that never adopted streaming will be running at 200 milliseconds. So BetAngel is running 10 times faster than software that doesn't use streaming. So there's an advantage for you as well. But we also have other things as well. If you look at the product, we have a thing called global settings. Now that is applicable whether you use the one-click screen or the ladder. You can use global settings, but predominantly you'll find that it's at the top of the one-click screen. And the concept behind that is you place one click and then BetAngel will inherit the characteristics that you give it via global settings. So if you want to place a lay bet, BetAngel can offset it automatically. You don't have to place that closing position within the market. And if you use a feature like with greening, what that will do, which is particularly helpful in play, there's an in-play delay. And so therefore, if you open a position, close a position, and then try and hedge a position, the issue that you will have is that you may actually miss the price because of the in-play delay. However, if you use with greening, BetAngel will hedge with your closing position so that you'll green across all of the runners within that particular market. It's a particularly useful feature. However, we've also gone another level up on that, and you actually have a global settings editor. So if you want to pre-populate that with strategies that you wish to use, all of those favorite strategies that you've got are just a couple of clicks away using the global settings editor. Now, we also have a very clever feature which is available on the one-click screen only, which is the custom columns. So the concept behind custom columns is you actually create your own button yourself. You can basically say to it, this is what I'd like to do when I click this button. And this is fantastic for in-play trading because you could have as many columns as you like lined up. Maybe it's backing, maybe it's laying, maybe it's cancelling bets, maybe it's doing something, or maybe even it's just displaying information. But basically, when you create your custom column, you get a button available on the one-click screen, and you click that button, and that's all that you need to do. BetAngel will do all of the rest. It even works with automation. So if you want to do something a little bit more complicated, then you can do it on the one-click screen by using a custom column. Very useful feature, and it's spectacularly useful if you're doing something in play. Now, as I mentioned there briefly, you also have automation that sits behind BetAngel. Now, I tend to do all of my in-play stuff completely automated. Why? Because I'm predominantly a pre-off trader. I'm focusing on the next market. As soon as the race is underway, I turn to the next market, start assessing everything that's going on and looking to take a position. So I could do in-play stuff, but the in-play market is about 1/5 the size of the pre-off market. It's remained staggeringly consistent over a very large number of years. 20% of turnover of the entire race is in play. So my preference is to do the pre-off market, simply because there's more money in there. I mean, let's face it, that's the way that it goes. But I do automate some of my in-play stuff. And the advantage of that is that can run away on a separate account while I go and focus on the next market. So I actually understand in-play really well, and I can race read really well, but it's an option. I just choose to put my focus elsewhere. It's as simple as that. However, using the automation, you could probably do the same too. Whether it supplements what you're doing or whether it's something that's completely independent, then that's something that you may want to look at as well. So automation is pretty useful. And as I've mentioned it, you can initiate the automation through a custom column. So why not mix the two up and achieve the best of both worlds when you're actively trading in play? You also get the advantage with automation is that it can pass information to you, either in the form of a sound alert, which you will hear if you ever come to my office, or a visual alert. It can actually send you a message. Or if you've got a custom column, it can pump information into that custom column. So you're actively trading an event, a race, and it's providing feedback for you immediately. It can tell you the difference between the favourite and the second favourite, what the price was at post time, what the price is now, whether the horse got off to a good start. That's how I use it, and things like that. It can give you information and instant feedback right in front of your very eyes as the whole race unfolds in front of you. So that's a particularly useful thing to do as well. Now, we're getting to some of the really juicy stuff here, because why not use a servant? We realize that completely automating a strategy may not suit some people, but we also realize that when you're actively participating in a market, especially a really fast-moving market like horse racing, it's very difficult for the manual trader to achieve all of the things that they want. So servants fill that gap absolutely beautifully. What you do is you decide when you want to put the automation into the market, you decide what you want to do when and on what runner and the timing of it, and then you just initiate the servant. So you could do that in a number of ways. You could initiate that on the ladder, on the one-click screen, via a custom column. But you can also do it another way, which I'll come on to in a second. But the concept with a servant is all of that little bit that can be automated can be managed very effectively. You just have to say, that runner there, this runner here, do that on that runner there. And it speeds up your trading absolutely dramatically. But also think about it. If you go to place a position into the market, and by the time you've made that decision and you've pressed that button, whether it be on the ladder, the one-click screen, or however you choose to do it, maybe something's changed in the underlying market. Maybe the odds that you clicked on are no longer available, or maybe something has shifted somewhere. If you use automation via a servant, then what will happen is the servant can check the state of the market at the time that the order is placed and cancel it for you, or not put it through, or alert you, or do something else. So you dramatically improve your returns on trading by using a servant, because it will refine the exact entry point and the management of your position in the market instantaneously, much, much faster than any manual trader ever could. And talking about being faster than any manual trader could ever possibly be, we come to the biggie here, which is why I think and it's often overlooked and people don't use it enough, but we also have within BetAngel a Keystroke Editor. And the idea of being able to initiate a trade with a keystroke is that you can actually pretty much do anything with a touch of a keyboard. Now, the fact is, sometimes you may find that the keyboard isn't the right mechanism to do this. So therefore, you could actually assign a keystroke to a gaming device, a keypad, any of those sort of things. There are loads and loads of these out there, because the gaming technology in the gaming industry has come on dramatically, so that there are loads of devices that you can press buttons on and they will initiate some sort of action. So we have integrated that capability with inside BetAngel on the keyboard shortcut editor. And the whole concept of that is basically you press one key, whether it be on your keyboard or your gaming device, and that can initiate pretty much anything within BetAngel. And where this is most powerful is when you use it in conjunction with something like a servant. You say to it, this is what I want to do in the market. This is how I'm going to do it. Here are the safety checks. Here's how to modify the position. If this has happened, here's what to do here. And you can close the position there and everything like that. And then you spend all of your time just looking at the market. The great thing about this is you can stare at your TV pictures, decide what you're going to do, and then you just need to do that, press a key, or do something, initiate that function somehow through a gaming device or somehow, and away it goes from there. Now, if you think about it, you've got 5 fingers, and you can rest your fingers either on the keyboard or on a gaming device, and you could just number them 1 to 5 based upon whether it's the favorite, the saddlecloth number, any of those sorts of things. And then you basically can just press a key and initiate your trade. And you don't have to take your eyes off the TV pictures at all. You don't need to search around on the screen to figure out where you're going to place your bet on the one click or the ladder. You can basically just press a key and away your position goes. Now think about it. This is where the piano comes back into it. Somebody came into my office and said, hey Peter, you've got a piano. Who plays the piano? And it's like, oh, I do. And it's like, well, why do you do that? And there were 2 key reasons for that. The first one was that I find it very relaxing. When I'm sat there focusing, trying to play it, I'm having to focus intensely and I'm listening to the music, and it just takes my mind away from everything. So I actually find it quite relaxing. But the other reason for it was eye-hand coordination. So, you're not limited to one hand, you've got 2, unbelievably. And therefore, when I actively trade, I use both hands all of the time. So I'm either moving a mouse with one and using the keyboard on the other, or sometimes I may be using a gaming device or some other device. So I can actually initiate 10 actions very, very quickly. I have become ambidextrous in terms of trading. And the piano helps significantly with that, because of course you've got to use 2 hands on the piano. And if you use a modifier like a shift or a control key, then obviously you multiply the number of functions that you can operate with your limited amount of 10 fingers. However, imagine the power that gives you. You can do pretty much anything. You can initiate positions, you can change positions, you can cancel, you can do all sorts of weird and wonderful things, and you don't have to take an eye off the screen. If you see something and you're good at reading the market, or there's some action that's taking place within the market, then basically you can exploit that in a flash. You just need to press a button and your bet will go into the market. So yeah, there's a whole list of things that you can do on BetAngel. Not many people sort of get to all of those, but when I'm actively trading, I'm looking to utilize all of those functions to be able to give myself an edge against other people who may be trying to do the same thing, but will necessarily be just that little bit slower than me, because I've got all of the tools available in which to initiate that. So yeah, if you want to know why BetAngel is such a great tool for doing any sort of in-play trading, those are the reasons why.